Criminally negligent homicide is all he's been convicted of. He's facing 6 months till a maximum of 2 years in prison for unaliving his classmate after stabbing him to death in a bathroom. Now, I brought you guys this case a couple of weeks ago with Casen because I felt like it bared so much similarities to the Carmelo Anthony case. And both of these cases are in Texas. Both of these cases involve teens, and both of these cases involve knives, where people are saying that they were acting in self-defense and feared for their lives. And I don't hear any outrage about this. I don't know if you guys are hearing, but yesterday, Casen, who is the white teen pictured here, okay, he went to his school with a knife and he unalived his classmate, who is this guy, Joe Ramirez. They're both 17 at the time. This happened back in 2022, just to give you guys a recap, and then we'll talk about the verdict, okay? Back in 2022. Now, the difference between Casen's case and Carmelo Anthony's case is that Casen actually knew Joe Ramirez, okay? They had ongoing issues and had agreed to fight. Okay, they agreed that on this particular day, they were going to show up to the school and they were going to get it over with, because they had been going back and forth for a little while now over a girl, right? According to the mom, it was over a girl, but multiple people testified. They saw Snapchat messages, group chat messages, that these two agreed they were going to fight. Now, on the day that all of this happened, Joe Ramirez went into the restroom with the group of his friends. Casen came later with a group of his friends, and it is being reported that Joe Ramirez threw the first punch, okay? That is when Casen took out a knife and stabbed Joe Ramirez multiple times, okay? Remember, with Carmelo, he only stabbed him once and then he ran. Casen stabbed Joe Ramirez over 5 times, and they say there is video of Joe Ramirez coming out of the restroom and collapsing in the school hallway after he exited that restroom. Casen ran home. He was arrested and charged with murder, just like Carmelo Anthony was charged, right? And he was saying that he was acting in self-defense. His bond was set at $1 million. It was dropped down even lower than Carmelo Anthony's bail was dropped down, right? Because his was dropped down to, I think, 150 or 175. It was somewhere in that 100,000 range. So he's been out for almost 3 years, okay? And so the verdict came back yesterday, and he was acquitted of that murder charge. They said they found him guilty, okay, of criminally negligent homicide. And the jury believed that he was acting in self-defense and fear for his life, even though they had several people who testified and said that Casen had threatened Joe Ramirez on multiple occasions, even though they had Snapchat and group chat messages to prove that Casen knew that on that day he was going to fight Joe Ramirez, and he still brought a knife. So only he knew that he brought that knife. Joe Ramirez had no idea. And they still found him guilty of criminally negligent homicide. So he's only facing up to 2 years for doing not anything similar to what Carmelo Anthony did, because I feel like his was more egregious. His was premeditated, in my opinion, right? He knew that he was going to fight Joe. He knew Joe. He had threatened Joe on multiple occasions, and he had a substance issue, but he still was found guilty on the very lesser charge. So they allowed him to go home. After they came down with the verdict, he's still allowed to go home until his sentencing, right? And I don't know if that's because he's out on bail. I don't know the logistics and all of that, but very interesting. So I'm really looking forward to see how this Carmelo Anthony case plays out.